exhibit. If you're just joining us, my name is Dagny. I'm one of the naturalists here on staff, and I am very excited to be here with you all, as this is one of my absolute favorite exhibits here at our aquarium. I hope you are all just as excited as I am for this. Now, in just a few minutes, again, we are going to be joined by our divers. They'll be coming down from the far left-hand side, but I'd love to give you all an introduction to this space, because what we're seeing right now is not a random collection of algae and animals. It's a thriving, vibrant community made up of lots of different personalities and characteristics, like what you might find in your own neighborhoods at home. And at the root of this community, anchoring it all together, is that kelp itself, forming homes and shelter, as well as providing food for the numerous species that call it home. But I have a question for you all. Has anyone been to our back deck yet today? I'm not nearly seeing enough hands. If you haven't been yet, I would encourage you to do so, because what you would see is like what we're seeing on this monitor. Lots of patches of brown algae floating at the surface. We'll see some otters as well as some seabirds diving on down to grab a bite of food. And like the canopy of a rainforest, the canopy of our kelp forest at the surface only gives us a brief snapshot of all of the hustle and bustle that goes on beneath. The rest of that story, or the understory, if you will, is what is represented right here in our exhibit, showing us what life is like in the kelp forest, from top to bottom, all the way from the canopy down to the holdfast. And the reason that we have the capability to showcase this kelp forest community for you all is because of something really special. If you take a look up at the monitor once again, you'll notice we've got 2 intake pipes bringing in about 1,500 gallons of fresh seawater straight into this kelp forest exhibit every single minute. And this water provides the nutrients that the kelp needs to thrive. But in addition to providing the ingredients for life, it also contains life itself, because spores of algae and microscopic larvae are making their way on into our exhibit. So some of the creatures you might see in here are simply hitchhikers. They were not put here, they just ended up here through those intake pipes, which I think is really cool. Now it looks like our fish are getting very excited. Our divers will be joining us momentarily. But as a big algae nerd myself, I love to highlight this kelp itself. It's one of my absolute favorite things to talk about. Looks like we got some pointing. Have our divers entered the water? I can't see from where I am. Give me a nod if yes. Awesome. Thank you, my friends. So they'll be making their way down. We've got 3 divers in the exhibit today. Very exciting stuff. That will be Anne, Meredith, and Ashton. And they are all really incredible individuals helping out with feeding all of the hungry mouths in this exhibit. So Meredith will be making her way on over to this middle window here to showcase some of the very special fish that we have on exhibit. And Anne and Ashton might be cruising around the back to feed some of our shyer individuals in here. But again, back to that kelp. You are all here at a very special time, because we have both giant kelp and bull kelp making up our canopy. We just recently added in this bull kelp, if anyone's wondering what that might look like. It's this one with a long stipe and all of that beautiful kelp blades at the top. So this is a really cool species of kelp, and it's one that we're working to protect through a lot of different community-based action. Some of you might be aware of the fact that kelp forest coverage has declined in recent years, and a lot of this is due to overgrazing by animals like sea urchins. And that's what makes some of the individuals in this very exhibit, as well as in our aquarium, so special, because they teach us about the roles of keystone species, the animals that help to protect the kelp forest by eating things that eat kelp. Now it looks like we got one of our divers cruising on through the middle. And they are certainly very popular with that little bucket of food. I'm sure it's not just because of their bubbly personalities. But it looks like we've got some very cool seafood on the menu today that we're about to start tossing out. We've already got round 1 going in the water with that krill you saw earlier. But we've also got a very delicious seafood medley that will feed out to our kelp forest community. Oftentimes this will include prawns, squid, things that many of us on land really like to eat as well. And something we'll be chatting about a bit later on is sustainable seafood, because it's something that's near and dear to our hearts here at the aquarium. In fact, we want to make sure that all of the food that we're feeding on exhibit has been informed by our Seafood Watch Guide. Different regulations and different fishing methods go into making different seafood choices better or less good for the environment that they are in. And so all of the things that we're giving out here are best choices for the ocean's health, including that very beautiful California market squid we just saw a second ago. I'm sure that's going to get snatched up pretty quickly. Do we have any calamari fans out in the audience today? All right, I'm a big calamari fan myself, and this is a great sustainable seafood choice, California market squid. So next time you're craving some seafood, I highly recommend that. But I do want to just give a quick reminder for any folks filming out there in the audience to just make sure that your flash setting has been disabled. Thank you very much. Now it looks like we got Meredith giving us a wave, so let's give her a very warm welcome. There we go. We're definitely getting some action from those leopard sharks this afternoon. They're making their way through the middle of this window right now. We got one of them kind of cruising behind Meredith there. Now, is anyone worried at all about our divers being in this exhibit with so many sharks? I'm seeing some yeses and some nos. And for those of you that said yes, it is a lot less intimidating than it might seem. Because what you'll notice is that our sharks have the mouth on the underside of their body. And this is an adaptation that really helps them because they are what's known as a bottom feeder. They'll cruise along the bottom of the seafloor and hunt for things like small crustaceans and invertebrates, things that don't have a backbone. So they're eating very small foods. They're not posing much of a risk to our divers in here. And in fact, out in the wild, they are known to be very shy animals. So a lot of them are super excited. All of our divers are very happy to be in such close proximity to these animals because they are a little bit more cryptic out in the wild. But here they are very friendly, as you can see. We've got one making its way along the window there. But I'd love to highlight for you one of the other very special animals that we have in here, and that will be those senoritas. So if anyone sees any fish, they're sort of orangey, almond-shaped, and they've got a black dot on their tail. They're one of my favorites to talk about because they have a very special role in the kelp forest. They are a cleaner fish. So the fish in the community will actually line up in order to be cleaned by these senoritas, and they'll pick the dead skin as well as parasites off of their neighbors. But here at exhibit, the reason I love to point this fish out is because they definitely prefer the lovely seafood bucket that our divers have to offer instead of those dead skin cells and parasites. Can't say I blame them. But after a long day at work cleaning off all of their roommates, these fish have a very special way that they tuck themselves in at night to make sure they are nice and comfy cozy. They will create a mucus cocoon and bury themselves at the bottom of the ocean. And this helps to protect them from any predators that they have out in the wild. But we have some fish in this exhibit that are very closely related to our senoritas, and this would be our California sheephead. And I love talking about the California sheephead because they have a very unique life history. You'll notice we've got a lot of fish schooling around. I'm trying to see if I can find one at the moment to highlight for you. But if anyone sees a very large fish with orange, white, and black on it, that is our male California sheephead. I'm seeing some pointing right now. Looks like we've got a female cruising on through. Those will be a little bit more pinkish. But all of these fish will start out their lives as female. And as the population needs, they will transition into a male. It's a really cool strategy that they have. It looks like our male is hanging out over behind our diver to the far right-hand side, if anyone has eyes on that. And these are one of the animals that help to protect our kelp forest. They are a keystone species. If it makes its way on up to these windows, it'll give us a great opportunity. There we go, right on cue. Check out those super strong jaws that it has. These are perfect for cracking open things like sea urchins that eat the kelp. So just like how our otters have super strong jaws and claws and will crack open those things to snack on, they have a very special adaptation much the same to that with those strong teeth. Now these animals are super important, and I love talking about them in relation to our role as consumers here on land because we want to make sure that we're protecting very special animals like that California sheephead that serve an important role in their ecosystems. If these animals are overfished, it can put kelp forests like this one out of balance. And so that's where we come in. Now again, I heard a lot of Monterey fans out there? Do we have seafood fans? Make some noise. Amazing. If anyone is interested, we have a very special program that we developed here at the aquarium about 25 years ago. And this is called Seafood Watch. I've got some pocket guides up here with me, and I think Meredith has one in the water as well. Maybe she'll bring it out in just a minute. But if anyone is interested in picking one of these up, this is a great way to start to help protect our kelp forests. And if anyone is looking for more ways to help protect this incredible, diverse community, a great way to do that is through your vote. Areas like the marine protected areas and national marine sanctuaries that can be found in Monterey Bay came about because of people like us speaking up for change in our communities. And a great way that we can contribute to that success story that is ongoing is through voting for people who care about our oceans and the future of our planet. So I encourage you all to go check out the votefortheoceans.org website. This is a great way to get started with resources for that. And speaking of resources, I have these pocket guides up here with me. We also have a website, seafoodwatch.org, that I recommend you check out. But it looks like our divers still have a ways to go with these buckets, so I'm actually going to hop off this microphone and just be available up here for questions and allow you all to just take in the view for the next couple of minutes as we feed our kelp forest. But I want to thank you all for joining me this afternoon. And again, if you'd like to meet with me, I'm happy to chat with you. My name's Dagny. I want to thank you again for being here, and I want to wish you all a fantastic rest of your visit to the Monterey Bay Aquarium. Feel free to stand up if you'd like as well. Sorry.
好。